your boy.
Okay, folks, there's Honeycamp coming at you here again from Honeycamp Manor. We got something a little different today. I've got to make a couple cuts on a tree to help get it out of the way. The crew's here to help get this tree out. It's the same crew that's been working next door. We've had an issue with a tree next door, so they're not allowed to cut it, but they can hold it, and I can make the cut, and they can get rid of the tree that way. So before I can go make those couple cuts, I've got to sharpen my saw. I'm going to take you along with me on that. We'll talk about the saw, we'll talk about cutting, things like that, and we'll go from there. It's been a while since I've done any heavy cutting. When I lived in West Virginia, I cut timber and I cut firewood. I mean, we burnt through about 10 quart of firewood a year, heating and cooking. So I learned to sharpen pretty good back then. So let me take you along with what I like to do and the way I was taught. Take me a second here to get zoomed in on where I want to be, but we'll get it. Okay, there's the chain. And if you notice, I've got my chain in a vise. That way I'm holding the chain pretty good, or holding the chainsaw so it's not moving around too much, and I can get a good bite with my file. This is a 5/32 chain, so I use a 5/32 file. We're going to work on this tooth to begin with. When it comes to filing, you want to keep your file about at a 35 to 45 degree angle. You want to keep it level. The blade is perpendicular. The bar, you want to keep your file perpendicular to that. So at a nice 90-degree angle. Well, I like to hold next to the tooth I'm sharpening. You just want to make a nice, smooth slide across that file. I don't count my file strokes. I go until it feels good. You want it to feel nice and smooth across that tooth. Then you go to the next one. You do this all the way around your chain. In one direction. Again, it's not too hard. Again, you want to run this file across here. I usually file my chain every time I cut and before I put it away. But the last time I cut, I was in a rush. I was cutting some pallets and I hit a nail. So I just want to give this a light touch to make sure all the teeth are good. I don't want to find any tooth that's got a big burr on it. Again, I'm watching these teeth. I'm looking at the way they're rolling. I'm looking at the way they're doing everything. So, not a lot to these. Not a lot to sharpening this. Now, one thing, you got the round file. There are handles that you can get to put on your file. They cost between $2 and $10, depending on what you want. I have found that a golf ball is my favorite thing because it fits in the palm of your hand good, and you can hold that file. So, we'll take a quick pause here. We'll come back here in a second, and I'll finish filing this side, and I'll do the other side, then we'll get on to the next thing about dealing with the rakers. We have the rakers, and we have the cutting tooth. So we'll get on to checking the rakers when we come back to this, and we'll go from there. Okay, folks, we're back. I've done both sides of the chain. Again, I've got my saw set up at a vise, so it's where I want it to be. It's nice and stable. Now, the next thing you want to do is you want to look, well, let's show you these teeth here if I can get you a good view on it. There's a nice, smooth arch. Let's find one that's not and get one to where it's not interfered in the back. There's a nice round profile. It's got a nice smooth top. It's got the angle that we want. So we're going to come back now and we're going to check the rakers. What I like to do is I've got me a straight edge. Okay. I want to set this on one tooth and set it on the tooth in front of it. If I can do that while I'm looking at my camera. Now, I'm on one tooth right here on my fingers. I'm on the tooth in front of it. And if you look, that raker isn't touching. If that raker was touching my straight edge, we'd want to foul that down just a little bit. And I'm going to check another one here. Let's just pick a spot here on this chain. Let's check this tooth and that raker. There we go. We got daylight behind it now. Again, as you can see, it's not touching. Now, they make guides for that. That you can sit on one tooth and the tooth in front of it, and you make the file cut in the middle. I've had one. I liked it. There's a bunch of them out there. And the best thing to do is to get one of the older ones. Because they do better. So that's how we do a chain, sharpening it. Next thing I want to do is talk about, let me put you back here on my tripod. Next thing we want to talk about is chain tightness. And how much some of my tripods just don't want to work with me. Now let's take the saw out of the vise. And we're going to set it here on my fab table. We'll get into using that soon enough. Put you over here. Point you down at the saw a little bit. Point you down just a little bit more. Zoom you in just a little bit. Okay, that's where I want it to be. So, if you look here, this chain is hanging off the file off the bar pretty good. That's not where I want it to be. I'm going to loosen the retention bolts. Move you back just a little bit. Point you up just a little bit so you guys can see retention bolts and everything. And that, folks, is how it gets done. Okay, folks. Well, we've made the cut. We've gotten rid of the tree. I'll show you that real quick. We've gotten rid of the tree. It used to be right here in the corner, laid up on the house. There should be some footage of that floating around someplace. I'll try to put some of that in here. And you'll see it during when I was making the cut. So, let's talk here a minute, folks. I was trained in West Virginia to cut timber. I moved to West Virginia, let's see, in 2009. So 16 years ago, I moved to West Virginia. I learned how to cut wood. Most of what I cut was for firewood. But then I got a job cutting some timber for a couple of the locals there. And it was for timber. It wasn't for firewood, it was for the timber. So again, I got my OSHA certification, and I did a fair amount of cutting. So I'm decent. I'm not running the biggest saw that's out there. I'm just running a little steel 180. It initially came with I think an 18-inch bar, and I've got a 20-inch bar on it right now, which is what I showed you sharpening at the beginning of this video. But a couple things I like to talk about. Know what your tree can and can't do before you cut it. Make sure you look at where most of the weight is. You don't want to drop that tree in the wrong direction where it could possibly hit somebody. If you notice, when that tree as it came off the stump, me personally, I was getting out of there. But when I came out to make my cut, I had my hard hat on, I had my safety glasses on. Most of the time, if I'm cutting on the ground or if I'm cutting real low, I have my chaps on. I don't have very much in the line of protection for my upper body, because again, I'm either cutting, most of my cutting is right near the ground, so I usually have a pair of chaps on. I didn't have a pair of chaps on today, which some of you are going to argue about, and I shouldn't have been cutting that way. I didn't have my steel toe boots on. But again, where the cut was being made and the way we were doing it, I didn't feel that I needed that. But again, if you're a beginner and you're not sure what you're doing with running a saw, make sure you have all of your PPE, your personal protective equipment. Make sure you're wearing it. Even when I'm cutting firewood and it's laid on the ground or it's bucked up on a couple blocks, even then I have my hard hat on and my safety glasses. I don't necessarily wear my ear protection like I probably should, but it's one of them things, you want to hear what's going on around you. You want to hear what that tree is doing. So yeah, I'm gonna suffer in a couple years with hearing problems, but I'd rather have that and than having a tree drop on me and either kill me or crush me or paralyze me or something like that. I'd rather deal with a little bit of hearing loss. So again, if you're cutting firewood, when I'm cutting on the ground, yeah, I've got my ear protection on. I've got ear muffs, I've got earplugs. I wear them, and I think you guys should too. Now, we're going to do our sign off here, folks. I love doing these videos for you guys. If there's something that you'd like to see us do, please shoot us a message on here. We have our Facebook page, which is Handicap Manor Bikes and Books. The wife has her YouTube, Deidre Nicole. On her YouTube, she's got cat videos. She's going to be doing some of her books and reading of her books. She's got some of the art that she's doing. She's got a little bit of the same type of content that I'm doing, sewing. It's one of them things, you never know what you're going to see there. Her books, my wife is an author. Her books are available out there. There's a link to them on our Facebook page, and there's a link to them out of her YouTube channel. I don't have a link to them here yet, but you can find them. They're out there. They're on a bunch of platforms. If you check her page out, you can hear where they're at. Again, we enjoy doing this type of stuff for you guys. Again, it's going to be a little bit of everything. So stop in, follow us. Hit that like button, hit that little notification bell over there in the corner. So when we do post our videos, you get notified as to when they're up. We try to post a video every Sunday. And right now, we've been pretty well steady with that. Again, we've seen a bunch of different things from us. We've worked on bikes. We've worked on putting a mailbox in. Now you've seen me doing some timber cut. Well, not really timber cutting, tree removal. And there's still a lot here along the fence that needs removed. You've seen some clips of me basically on my crutches right after my surgery. Today I'm a couple weeks out of surgery now. So again, we're going to be picking up on a little bit more of the physical activity stuff and the physical stuff. So follow along, folks. We enjoy doing this. We enjoy bringing you along with us. So again, Handicap Manor Bikes and Books for our website or our Facebook page. And we have a website under that name. We are Handicap Manor. We love you folks. May God bless you all. And we hope to see you soon. So check out our page, follow us, like us. All that really helps us to support our little one. And we're going to have some homeschooling stuff in there too here pretty soon. So we'll talk to you later, folks. And again, come back next week and see what we've got